What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Tackle Tuesday here on Joe Bob's Bass. Thank you all for tuning in as usual. If you're new to the channel, this is what it's all about. We talk about tackle. We talk about different fishing accessories. Sometimes they're just reviews. Sometimes they're overviews. Sometimes they're first impressions. And sometimes, like today, it's more about diving into a specific lure, this one being a soft plastic, and me talking about a couple different ways that I like to fish it, the three most common ways that I will rig this lure, all right? So plain and simple, we're just gonna get up close today, talk about my top 3 ways that I rig up and fish a paddle tail swim bait. Okie doke, folks, so here we go. Here is my little paddle tail swim bait. Little note here, I love this kind of a dark royal bluish color with this sparkle for stained water. Some murky, muddy, not necessarily muddy, but more tannic lakes. This blue in a blue and white combo absolutely kills, all right? First up, the screw lock, okay? This is that belly weight hook, and this is a size 3/0, okay? This is a 4.5 inch paddle tail, maybe a 4.75. Either way, that 3/0 is gonna work great. When you put that on there, you're just gonna have that weight kind of sticking out. That hook is going to be nice and weedless in there. This is terrific all summer long when you're tossing this up into reeds and pads. And guys, it's super easy. It's really hard to mess up, basically. And I always have troubles doing this behind the camera. But you're going to just thread on that nose. Get that as centered as you can. That always helps just the action be a little more precise. And then as you're getting closer, you want to see how that's going to sit, right? So that screw lock is sitting this way, right? So I want to make sure that when I'm twisting it, I'm not over twisting it and I'm not under twisting it, so that when see, that's under twisted. So that would be upside down, right? So we got to do one more half turn, boom, and then that's going to sit on there on the hook keeper or the eye, perfect. And then you're really just going to kind of Texas rig this, right? Find where that back of that hook point is going to go through, put her up through the belly, straight through the middle of the bait. And there you go, guys. It's going to keep that bait upright, going to let that paddle tail do everything that you possibly can. And if you need a little more flash, or you're thinking maybe I want like a spinnerbait, but even a little bit more weedless like this, get these hooks, but with that, well, I've got one right here, that bladed belly, right? This is a big, huge 11/0, but you know what I'm saying. Little blade on there. Works absolute wonders, all right? So there's number 1. All right, folks. Number 2 is pretty similar, but also different, okay? Because you can work this bait different ways. Basically, same kind of thing, a 3 or 4 extra wide gap hook. And then this is just a little 1/4 ounce Texas rig weight, right? So rig that onto your line first, that Texas rig weight. And what this is going to do, all right, so just take that bait upside down when you're threading it on, about a 1/4 inch or so. You're going to slide that all the way up the hook. And again, same thing. You're going to stick it through the belly, right where the back of the hook comes up. Ooh. Okay, straight through. And you're going to get that weedless presentation, right? And now, instead of a belly hook, you're going to just have that Texas rig right there, right? This is really nice. It's going to kind of let that bait roll a bit more. If you're really buzzing it through the water, it might kind of spin around a little bit, but it's going to stay pretty much upright, which is kind of nice, all right? But it also allows that weight being in the front to kind of hop this thing on the bottom, okay? So you've got that for you, and you don't really need a whole lot more than that. Those 2 rigs alone are going to get you through a lot. If you don't have one of those belly-weighted hooks, this is a great option. And last but not least, this is a little bit different, okay? And this is more, I'm going to use this more in like the fall. Typically, I'm going to be throwing bigger swim baits like those in the fall especially, right? But when it comes to, if I'm just on a kayak trip or, something where maybe I don't have the ideal swim bait for the situation, you can line through, treble hook your paddle tail, all right? Now, these have a good amount of salt, especially when you get to these bigger ones, this 4.5, 5 inch area, and even bigger than that. They've got enough weight where you don't need weight, but I also like to then take a nail weight and shove it in the belly, okay? Just to keep it upright, all right? But really, all you've got to do this is take a treble hook, okay? This is like a size 1, I think, pretty small treble hook, and kind of determine where you're going to want that on the bait. It's always better to have it right kind of in the middle more front side, right? You don't want to get all the way back here. Not only is that going to be tough to get your line through from the nose all the way there, but it's just not, it's going to impede the action of the lure then, right? So kind of that middle head spot, I like to say, about right there, about an inch or so back on that lure. And really all you've got to do to get that line through, guys, is find a pen or something, just some kind of small tube. It could even be one of those little coffee straws, and take that, shove it through just that little chunk that you need. Try not to tear it. You know, this is where it gets a little tricky, but it is a pretty inexpensive bait, so no harm, no foul. But shove it through there, put your line through, tie your treble hook directly onto that line, and then you can also shove one of those hooks into that bait so it sits like that. Now, this is not going to be a weedless presentation, obviously, but it is going to allow you, if you're over gravel, rocks, sand, track that thing on the bottom, especially if you get that nail weight in the belly there, and really just kind of slow roll it, where those other presentations like a Texas rig and the belly weighted hook are great for the mid of the water column, right? Not trying to necessarily stay on the bottom. All right, folks, that'll do it for this week's video. Thank you all for watching. Leave your comments on new lures, new rigs, whatever your heart desires. I love the comments that are just like, hey, man, thanks for the video. But I get a lot of questions, too. A lot of questions about things that I maybe didn't elaborate on in the video. Okay, so feel free to ask questions. I gladly will reply as soon as I see your comment. And please like and subscribe. It definitely helps out the videos perform. And, you know, we've just surpassed 400 subscribers. So thank you all for tuning in each week. And again, if you're new here, this is what we do. We talk about tackle. We talk about lures. We talk about rods, reels, boats, anything that you can imagine in the fishing world. Shirts, heck, you know, whatever we want. And as we get here in Minnesota, we are quickly approaching the open season. It is a closed season as of now. Only kind of crappie fishing is available, but all the lakes are still froze. So we will be getting on the water soon here in just a month or two. And I cannot wait, guys. I cannot wait to spend this summer with you guys and talk about tackle. I've got so many lures that I want to make videos on, but I have not been able to fish them yet. So why would I do that, right? So we're waiting for that open water, but thank you guys. Go get some fish, and we'll see you next week.